If you're not muted, it's okay. If you have to mute yourself, please do. I'm not sure if everybody is muted or what, but does anybody have a question they'd like to ask? One of the things that I've learned in not only the practice of meditation, but just the simple living of my life every day is to live without expectations and to understand the very nature of the external world is one of change. It's one of positive and negative. And if something goes right in your life, there'll always be something that'll come along that's not going to go right in your life. And the whole purpose of the meditation is simply building an inner life that is strong enough to eliminate this positive and negative, and not to live in a world where the external world, as it constantly changes and goes through the ups and downs of its existence, affects us. We don't have to allow ourselves to be taken apart because things don't go right, any given day in our lives. It's a very important thing to learn because, look, I've been doing this a long time, a very long time, and things go wrong. Things happen. As they say, shit happens. And you got to be strong enough inside to detach from it, to not let it get you depressed, to not let it get you unhappy, and to understand it's only this moment. And in the course of one's lifetime, there are many, many, many moments. And some of them are going to be great, and some of them are going to be not so great. But it's our responsibility to be strong enough not to allow the external world to drain us of our energy. Like a vacuum cleaner, it sucks us dry. And that's so much a part of what this meditation is for. Because if you don't build a strong inner life, the external world, the objective world is a very difficult place to deal with. It's a very powerful energy. Life itself is a very powerful energy, and it will do things to suck us dry if we don't have a system inside that's strong enough to detach from it, to be free of it, to be connected to spirit, to be connected to God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, and allow that to be the source, of Shakti, of energy that truly gives us life. Otherwise, it's a very rock and roll existence, the ups and downs and the this and that. I mean, does anyone have a question they would like to? But as I've said a billion times, all this is about is getting the heart open. It's about love. It's about being happy, you know, opening one's heart, living with unconditional love, living with gratitude, and having the internal strength, the chi, the power inside oneself to be able to detach from both positive and negative, to transform them into a wholeness of being so that we don't get stuck in all this polarity stuff, right and wrong and good and bad and positive and negative. And, that just creates a lot of tension inside people. And the meditation's purpose is to build each person that does it so they get strong enough to be able to live that way. And then the choices we make are more conscious choices. how we live our lives becomes a much more conscious way of living. I mean, I discovered many years ago, I know nothing about life. I really do. You know, I just let the energy flow through and it guides me, takes me from moment to moment in my life, enables me to teach these classes, and enables me to connect with everyone sitting here. It enables me to, deal with, this metaphorical Caesar that we have to deal with called life. The rent, the mortgages, the relationship, family, blah, 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 on and on and on. And some of that is very difficult. And if you don't have that internal strength, understand, it eats you alive. It's too strong to deal with. Does anyone have a question? Somebody's got to have a question.
I have a question, Stuart. Chris.
Yes.
Um, Stuart, could you please talk about forgiving yourself, forgiving oneself?
Well, the answer to that is very simple, Chris. If you can't forgive yourself, you're not going to be able to forgive anyone else. You will hold deep and repressed anger at human beings that will manifest through the way you interact with them, either subtly or not so subtly. But you got to start with saying, okay, I have blown it 1,000 times in my life. You know, it's okay. I can forgive myself for doing that. Understand? Because we all go through this kind of lifespan of unconsciousness.
Mhm.
We act unconsciously. We hurt people. We do stupid things in life. And ultimately, what does it matter? It's like, as I always kind of kid around, it's like a fart in a hurricane.
Yeah.
Happened 20 years ago. What does it matter? Why do we have to hold on to it and beat ourselves up with something that happened 20 years ago? You just say, okay, I forgive myself. And in the interactions with other people and the interactions with yourself, you treat yourself in a different way, kinder to yourself, more open to yourself, more capable of seeing the fact that every single person makes mistakes. I mean, when I went through hell, I mean, in 1996, I really went through hell. It was probably the hardest year of my life. And I kept going to Rudy and Nityananda and a whole bunch of them, the Ramana Maharshi and Ramakrishna and Sharada Devi. I kept, the answer I got from every single great soul in the cosmos, forgive.
Oh,
You cannot go on unless it doesn't matter how terrible what they did to you, forgive them. And not because you want to interact with them again, but you have to move on in your life. And it's the same way. You have to learn to forgive yourself and not be guilty. You don't have to spend your life being guilty for anything. We all make mistakes. I mean, when I used to teach at, prisons, one of the first things I said to the inmates there is I am absolutely uninterested in anything that happened in your past life. I said, it's dead, it's gone, it's finished. The only thing that really counts is the present and how you are living your life in the present. And nobody can live their life consciously in the present. They can't forgive themselves. And who's gonna throw the first stone here? Who, anybody here who hasn't hurt somebody, done something stupid in their life? You know,
yeah.
yeah. So we all need to learn to forgive ourselves. And just doing that enables us to forgive all the nonsense in the world, and to stop judging it and to learn from it that I don't want to live that way. I want to live in a much deeper, more conscious way as a servant to higher energy. I want to live with love. I want to live with happiness. I want to be a happy human being. And you can't do these things unless you just forgive. And the first person you got to forgive is yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, you're not going to forgive anyone else. I really mean that.
That's really great.
I hope it's clear, it's not easy to do. And trust me, I didn't learn this. It took years to learn how to live this way. And it makes it possible for me to sit here with all of you, with all of your indiscretions, the things you don't like and dislike, problems you have. I mean, it's all bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. The only important thing is you want to grow spiritually. You know?
Yeah.
It's the only important thing. The rest of it, just karma with a capital K.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, if there are no more questions, then today I was sitting down. I have to write acknowledgments from my book. People that have really helped me. And one of them came along. I'm going to acknowledge every single person who's ever been in a meditation class. Because every single person who's ever attended a meditation class of mine has taught me what I need to learn to grow. And this book became a product of what I learned over many decades of teaching with all of those people. So I have to acknowledge that, it's not just something I just thought up in my brain. Nobody thinks that way. It came years of experience, the flow of Shakti, the energy, the openness inside allowed these things to come and to become part of my objective world. So, I was really, who am I going to acknowledge? Yeah, there are people I have to, Kenny and Bob Sink and a few other people, and, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, God bless them with their public domain. But more than anybody else, decades of teaching this meditation and how many thousands of people have come through. And each and every one of them has given me something that it made it possible for me to touch the depths inside myself to write that. So God bless you all. And everyone else, those that study, those that don't study, the grocer, the baker, the candlestick maker, everybody. I mean, every living person is sacred. And I think one has to truly learn to live their life that way. So God bless you all. And there'll be class, what is today? Wednesday, there'll be class tomorrow night. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in meditation.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart. Good night.
Good night. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.